So welcome back friends to the third episode of our journey to Azure AI services, where for last two episodes we are performing the RAG search and doing the embedding and pushing the data to the Azure Vector Index, Azure AI Search over there. So in previous episode we have covered the indexer function. So the purpose of the indexer function, if you remember in my last episode, that we have covered that indexer is taking the data from the PDF of Azure blobs and reading and embedding and chunking and pushing it back to the Azure AI Search. Now today objective is pretty simple, that exactly what we are going to perform. We'll see the retrieval function today. So the purpose of the retrieval function is it will accept a query from the end user with a k value, then it will go for a RAG search in Azure AI Search. We'll get the RAG output from Azure AI Search Vector Index over here, and then it will push the data, means the RAG as context, and with the query that has been fired by the end user, it will set to the this chat model GPT-3 Turbo for us right now. So this is an OpenAI model, and it will get the summarization back to the user. So that's the whole purpose. Now before jumping into the code, so if you remember, this was a resource group that we were working on till now, and this is our Azure AI Search service over here, and this is the index. This is the index, the PDF index, where we have sent all our PDF documents in this particular vector database. And if I search the term AI over here, so you will see this kind of result is coming back. Now this is from the Azure portal. The same operation will be performing via Azure Function right now. Okay, so let's open up the code. Let's see how it is working first. Okay, I'm running the function locally. So as you see, it is getting the data from the requirement.txt file to install all the libs, although I have installed already. So it will be very first, it will give us the local function URL that we are going to execute by Postman. Okay, now as you see, we are getting this particular URL. Forget about the health check right now. I will discuss it when we host the Azure function on Azure, then this will become important. Okay, so I'm just copy this particular URL right now with me. Okay, and if I go to my Postman, let me bring it over here. Okay, now let us paste the query. So this is the query. Okay, and it accept two parameters. Query, what query we are firing? Let's say we are searching for keyword AI, and the k value, let it be 2 right now. Okay, now it's all set it up. Let me fire. Let's see what is happening to Azure function. Okay, so it's sending the request to the local host. As you see, this is my local host. Okay, hold on. Did I mistype it? Oh, sorry. I was in a hurry, so that I put some wrong information. That is why. Okay, let me fire up. Yeah, now it is executing. As you see, it has been executed. So if I go back to Postman, you see, so this is the output of the RAG. One output, two output from the RAG, and this is the LLM summarization of the word AI. So what is happening, it is getting the two document chunk as I asked for k equal to 2, and it gave back me two text chunk content, and it is pushing this particular content to the LLM to get the summarization or the answer of the LLM based on this particular retrieve informations. Okay, now if you increase this value, let's say we are increasing this value to 4 right now, so we are expecting 4 results set out of it, out of the RAG itself. So that's the purpose of the K. It determine how many document chunks do you really return. Okay, now as you see, this is the number 1 chunk, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4 chunks has been returned to from the RAG search. Okay, and we are passing the same information, the 4 chunks, to the LLM over there to get the summarization out of it. Okay, fine. So let's move back to the code. Let us stop this particular Azure function right now from our local, pressing the Ctrl+C. Fine. So how it is working? So as for every time, so this is my environment variables. As you see, this part is our storage account. This part is our vector database, where we are keeping the vector address, vector database address, and vector database password. If you remember from my last episode also, that we copied this particular information when we create the Azure resources in the Azure, right? So this is the PDF index that we are targeting for. So this is the index. This is the index actually that we are targeting to search, right? PDF index. And this is the OpenAI information for the embedding purposes. And this is the OpenAI information for the model GPT chat, where we are pushing our RAG context and query to get the summarization. Okay, so this value will be needed. So, and if the user does not supply any kind of K value, so it's not giving the context that how many records the end user want to return, then it will be keeping a value of default to 3. So that is the purpose of the env file. So once more time, so on production or real time, we should not be keeping this particular environment file. We'll be sending those data either in Key Vault or Azure App Config. So we'll see those things in the next upcoming video, when we'll be creating and hosting those kind of Azure function to Azure instead of running from local. Okay, at that point I will cover this topic. So for now, let's understand how the code is working over here. Okay, so this is the requirement.txt, the libs, Python libs and modules needed to run this application right now, this retriever application, FSC retriever. Now this is the main function block. As you see, this is the retriever function, Azure function. It is expecting a query. Search type we will discuss later. Okay, so this is the query that we are firing up, and this is the K information it is getting up. Okay, so now after that, it is passing the total parameter to the worker FSC get result over here as a parameter. Okay, now it is expecting a result set to be back as LST result and giving it back to the user. Okay, now let us go to this particular FSC get result function. Okay, so it is in the worker.py, as you see. So this is the main function that is being executed per function. Okay, so it's input as a parameter, as I told you. So the search type, if there is a search type, so we are not discussing about the search type right now, so we will discuss later, because with working with PDF, the search type does not mean anything. Actually, if you have several documentation like the PDF, PPT, TXT file, docs, okay, so you can specify what target you are searching for. Let's say we are targeting for only PDF and docs, not the PPTs. Okay, so these are the search type parameter that will handle that particular request. But for now, as we are working only with the PDF for this particular demo, so this search type is not applicable for us. Okay, but if it is there, then it is going to pop the search type out of the parameter. There is a reason behind it. Okay, I will explain you. So reading the configuration file data, that's fine, not an issue. So here we are creating our LLM chat model over here. Okay, with all the endpoint and the key and the API version and the information passed over here. So it is creating the Azure chat OpenAI. Okay, so if you remember, this is our let's say if I move back to my Azure resources, so this is my Azure OpenAI chat Azure OpenAI service over here. It is hosting the actual model, AI model, that is performing the chat with us. Okay, now this is the template section where it had been clearly written that use the following piece of context to answer the question at the end. Means whatever context we are saying to the AI, hey, whatever context we are going to supply you, you just answer based on that. Don't do anything extra, because AI is already capable. This kind of AI model is already capable to answer different kind of things. Okay, but we don't want that to be incurred on our search result. That is why we are explicitly telling the LLM that use the following piece of context information to give the answer. And if you do not know the answer, just say that you don't know. Use so the thing here is that we are telling that whatever context I have been supplying to you, LLM, okay, if you do not find the answer out of it, don't do anything extra. Just simple say that I don't know. Okay, I don't want any kind of intervention or other information pushing back to our search result. That's the purpose of it. That's the purpose of a template where we are giving a clear instruction to the LLM. Now this is the context, means the RAG result that we are providing to the LLM to get the answer. This is the question. So these two parameters is very important, and this will be the helpful answer that will be generated or populated by the LLM. Okay, so now here we create our custom prompt template. Now these are format your document in such a way, that's fine. So this part is very important. So here what is actually happening that we are creating a RAG chain over here. Okay, so we are creating a LangChain chain. Okay, RAG chain. Now this RAG chain expect parameter like context from where it will fetch the context. Okay, so if you remember, we talked about runnable lambda, right? So it get the information from the left side and pass it back to the right side. So that's a fundamental concept of runnable lambda. Okay, so in my previous video I have talked on this. Okay, so I'm just leaving this part. So this is the runnable lambda. Now the important part is over here is that, so we are calling under this runnable lambda, this is FNC worker. Okay, FNC worker is a normal Python function, but when we are calling by it runnable lambda, it become a lambda function, means callable function. Okay, that's the beauty of it. So that become FNC worker lambda function for us. Okay, now we are saying that by executing the function chain, you will get the context, means I'm setting the chain that chain, when you work on this particular thing, when you call this particular lambda function, you will get your context. Okay, now you will get the question, that is the runnable pass through. We are not going to change the question over here. This is the prompt that we are going to supply. This is the LLM, large language model, that we have generated in our previous steps. Okay, and this is the output portion. Now the point here is that when this chain is being invoked, as you see, it's the input parameter base. So we are passing the parameter to this particular invocation function. Now the important part is this parameter need to be equal with your the function runnable lambda FNC worker that you are calling over here. Okay, so that's the point, making the pop after that, and so this is the global output that we are going to pick, just show to the end user. Now, so as I told you, this part means this input equal to parameter. It's very important. Okay, so when we are invoking this chain, we are passing this parameter. Okay, now this particular parameter is also passed to the this particular FNC worker. Okay, means FNC worker expect absolutely this parameter to work on. Okay, now if I go to the FNC worker just to show you what it does or what is exactly doing, you see it is expecting the same parameter. Now if you remember, we pop up the search type from there, because the reason behind it is that we are creating a runnable lambda over here. So search type is not a thing that we want to pass to the LLM. Actually, it does not make any sense, right? So means we are getting the PDF document. The search type was all about PDF, docs file or PowerPoint presentation, whatever. That's the context, right? When we are getting the context, there is no meaning, absolutely no meaning for the LLM to see, whether the document is a PDF or PowerPoint or a text file. What does it matter to LLM? It does not matter to LLM, right? So that is what we are popping in a previous step when I show you that we are popping the search query from there. Okay, now this particular information is very important to LLM because he will be working on the query. So we are passing the query into the parameter. Okay, then we are populating, we are getting all the necessary values from our configuration file to connect to the vector database or connect to the chat OpenAI model. Okay, now index, so we have only one index for now, so I'm inserting into a loop over here. So we are looping through the index. Right now it has one index, like PDF index over here, so it will run only one. But if you have multiple index, we can inject that. Okay, that's the purpose of it. So now I am firing the query. Okay, get vector, get docs from the vector database. Let me go over there on Azure AI helper. So with the query and the k value and the index, I am passing this information to Azure AI here helper, where we have a function called FNC get doc from vector database. Let's see what exactly it is doing. So it is under this worker helper. If I come down over here, as you see, okay, so this is a small function. What it is exactly doing? Exactly, it is doing self.fnc similarity search. Another function is called over from here. Okay, now if you see in the similarity search, what is happening? I am passing the query information, the k value, the index name. So it is getting the vector database. You see the vector database is FNC get vector. So with the help of the indexing and embedding, it is getting the vector database. Now it is asking for a similarity search. The query is supplied by the user, the k value, the return, how many chunk of document will be returned by the search, and type is the similarity. So the resultant doc will be produced from here. Now this function will have the resultant doc and it will move to the worker helper in the resultant doc. Okay, if I am getting the result, then what exactly I am going to do? I am going to pass the this particular information to our Azure Azure Search Service to do the summarization of the context. So that's so we are getting this LST result doc as an output from this worker helper. And again, the worker helper means this FNC workers was called by 1 minute. So the FNC worker is called from here, actually FNC get result, as you see. Okay, so this is the lambda function. So the resultant document, list of the document will be set up as a context of this particular RAG chain with the query. This information here in this line invoke will be passed to the LLM, means this LLM, it will do the summarization and give the result to back. So that is all about this Azure function. Okay, so if you need the query, this kind of code file, just let me know, I will upload in the Git. Okay, so that's a bare minimum thing that I want to discuss with you. So instead of going to the Azure portal and performing this kind of RAG search, we are not performing the RAG search from here. Rather, exactly what exactly we are doing, we are creating an Azure function. We name it as retriever. We are performing the RAG based on that. Go to the Azure database, get the documentation out of it. Now send the list of document to the Azure OpenAI chat service to get the summarization out of it and send back to the user. So that's the end-to-end flow of this total work. So we have decided and dissected this tutorial into 3 parts. In the part 1, we have created all the Azure resources. In part 2, we have created our vector index function over there, indexer function. We perform the indexing, we push the result to the Azure AI Search Vector Database, creating the vector index. In third part, today in the final part, we create a retriever function to retrieve all the documentation based on the RAG search, user query, k value, and pass it back to the user. So that's the entire end-to-end workflow. So in next episode, we are going to host, means right now the indexer and the retriever, means these two Azure function we have run locally with the environment file values over there. But in our next episode, what exactly we are going to do, we'll host this indexer and retriever to Azure function itself, and from there we'll be executing or performing our indexing and retrieving. So stay tuned for the next part. We'll meet to create our Azure functions. I hope you have liked this video, or this being a part 3 of this particular series. Upcoming many parts will be coming up. So I hope you have liked. So you have enjoyed the video. If so, if my assumption is correct, then please give it a thumbs up. Share to the share the video as much as possible from your end if you like so, and if possible, kindly subscribe to the channel so that it will encourage me to create the next set of this particular video and move on. Thank you, my friends.